Good evening. Good evening. Just want to make sure everybody's on their toes. Good evening and welcome to the Beaver Dam Chamber of Commerce Candidates Forum here live from the Beaver Dam Veterans Center on Baikal Avenue in beautiful Beaver Dam on this wonderful Wednesday evening. We've got a packed house here at the Veterans Center as the two candidates for Dodge County Sheriff debate the issues over the course of the next hour today. We want to welcome our guests here at the Veterans Center, along with those listening on 95.3 WXRO, also those joining us at dailydodge.com. We've got three segments of questions and answers between the two candidates, the incumbent Sheriff Dale Schmidt and challenger Lieutenant Jim Ketchum, for today's program. In just a few minutes, the candidates are going to be given an opportunity to field questions from the media, to field questions from the audience, and also to field questions from each other. The couple things that are worth noting today, each candidate has been seated in alphabetical order. They'll be given 1 minute to introduce themselves at the onset, 1 minute to make closing remarks, and then again in between those three segments this evening. And with that, we do want to note that the chamber president here is going to be holding up signs for our candidates that will indicate when they have 30 seconds remaining. And they'll also hear a noise when their time is up. And that noise would sound like what? Not the crying baby, but the bell. So that, not the crying, but if we could make that work, that would be wonderful. And so with that being said, we are going to launch right into this first section. Again, this is going to be representatives of the media that are going to be asking questions of the candidates this evening. Exactly. Sorry, Phil. Thank you. That will be the first Q&A section after they make their introductory statements. We've had an opportunity to determine who would be going first for today's program. And with the, I believe it was the flip of a coin?
No, we draw numbers.
We drew numbers. All right. And it was determined that Lieutenant Ketchum will be going first for the opening statements. That means closing statements will go to Dale Schmidt. We will go to Lieutenant Jim Ketchum now.
Good evening. My name is Jim Ketchum. I'm a lieutenant with the Dodge County Sheriff's Office and candidate for sheriff. I have worked for the past 22 years for the Dodge County Sheriff's Office and have had the immense privilege of working with some of the best law enforcement officers in the state. It is now time for me to step forward and lead these people. Why? Because I'm the candidate committed to making data-driven decisions based on the needs of this law enforcement agency to best serve its community. Because I will value the input of both the staff and the citizens as we work together to tackle issues facing Dodge County, something I have done consistently throughout my career. My broad base of law enforcement support within both the department and across the county demonstrate a crisis in confidence that my opponent cannot overcome, primarily because he doesn't believe it matters. This is no way to solve a problem. The sheriff's office needs a law enforcement leader, not a politician at the helm. A sheriff who seeks to unite, not divide. A sheriff who even my opponent called an influential leader.
And that was Lieutenant Jim Ketchum with his opening statements. We now and we will allow one more round of applause after Sheriff Schmidt makes his opening statements, but then after that, we're going to ask you to refrain from making any comments or applause until the Q&A portion when you'll be allowed to ask questions. Hold the applause then until after the end of the program. We now go to the incumbent Sheriff Dale Schmidt.
Thank you. First of all, I would like to thank the veterans in the room, especially those who are allowing us to use this Veterans Center tonight. I really appreciate it. I would also like to thank the organizers of the debate and also the voters for taking time to be informed about this important election. I also want to take a moment to thank all of my supporters, especially my wife, Cassandra, my family, as they're the motivation for why I do what I do. For as long as I can remember, serving in law enforcement and having a concern for the welfare of the people has been my passion. I am honored to be your sheriff and have served as a law enforcement officer for 18 years. Over the last 4 years, we have worked very hard to implement community-oriented policing strategies, bringing great programs and initiatives to the sheriff's office. We have added services and still saved the taxpayers $1.8 million. In the next 4 years, I plan to build on those many successes. Some of those successes include furthering our efforts to stop sex trafficking, opioid overdoses, and domestic abuse-related crimes. Being sheriff is not just a job to me, it's part of who I am. And those who know me know it's a passion to serve the citizens of Dodge County.
All right. Thank you. And again, with that, we will ask that you refrain from applause for the rest of the evening until the end. We are now going to the first Q&A segment, and that is with media representatives. We'd like to thank Chris Higgins with the Daily Citizen for joining us today, along with Kevin Haugen from AM 1430 WBEV, 95.3 WXRO, and dailydodge.com. And we will begin with, according to a coin flip, a number draw, whatever it may be, with Kevin Haugen with Daily Dodge.
This question is for both candidates. Do you think the sheriff's position should be a partisan or nonpartisan office? And we will start with Jim.
The sheriff's office should be a nonpartisan position. The sheriff should be enforcing the laws throughout the county for all residents. Doesn't matter on your political stance, religious stance. This is simply the largest law enforcement leader within the county as an elected official, and it should be done without any biases.
My feelings are that this is a position that was put into place by our Constitution. It's a constitutional office, but that's not really the issue here. The issue more so about the partisan politics of it is being honest about it. And unfortunately, fortunately, I've been a Republican my entire life. My opponent has signed the recall, has told me he's a Democrat in the past, and just be honest about it. If you want to be a Democrat and run for sheriff, that's fine. Run for sheriff. Do that in the general election, not here in the Republican primary.
We will offer 30 seconds for rebuttal.
If you've been a Republican your entire life, didn't you also join the Republican Party shortly before you ran for sheriff last time? Just as I did this time?
And you're giving up your rebuttal time then, sir? 30 seconds. No, 30 seconds for rebuttal then. Yes. If you rebuttal.
I did join the Republican Party officially the year before. I've always been a Governor Walker supporter. I voted for him all 3 times, did not sign that recall petition. And I've got friends of mine that go back to when we were kids. May have not been officially card-carrying member of the Republican Party, but have always been a staunch conservative and Republican.
So this is also for both candidates, and we can start with Dale. Why should the county view the jail as a source of revenue?
It's not so much a source of revenue, but it's a source of being able to offset the costs. Every county in the state has to pay for their jail. It's costly to run a jail. So what we need to do is find ways to minimize those costs on the taxpayers. That's what has been done for 15 years in Dodge County as we have had that new jail. Certainly, there was an offset when we had that jail closure. It was either going to be a loss in revenue that was going to offset those costs, or we were going to close the building or we were going to replace that building with a large expenditure. It certainly was a very difficult decision. It's a decision that has been made. And as I said, throughout the entire process, it's my job to bring forward ideas. It's my job to bring forward the suggestions. At the end of the day, the county board makes that decision, and it was theirs to make. And I support the decision that they've made, and now we're going to move forward. This issue is done. Yes, I made a recommendation about it, but that's my job as the sheriff, is to come up with recommendations. The county board wants to go in a different direction. I support that, and we'll go in that direction.
We now go to Lieutenant Jim Ketchum.
It is a good way to offset taxpayers' money being invested in the jail. However, the proposal that was put forward was not based on sound data. There's too many questions as to whether or not the revenue source will still be there for the next 20 years for the payback of the loan. If we are able to negotiate a long-term contract with the U.S. Marshal Service, and there are not additional facilities built in the Midwest that are close to this location to where this could be a cost savings to our taxpayers, I would be in support of this, but we would need to take a longer, better look at the data that was provided before we would make a decision to put our taxpayers on the hook for $26 million that possibly could not be paid back in a timely manner.
Again, in all question segments, there is an opportunity for 30-second rebuttals.
My response to that is simply that yes, there certainly is risk. However, we did not just simply present one $26 million plan. We presented several options. And again, at the end of the day, it was a decision the county board needed to make. And I respect that there was a difficult decision. It wasn't easy. We came forward with a recommendation because we believe that the past performance will predict future performance. We had 15 years of really good success and a lot of positive revenues that have offset costs to the taxpayers.
And 30 seconds to Lieutenant Ketchum, should he want it.
There was also a $42 million proposal for a training facility that would not have any offset costs by having federal inmates, I believe. That was immediately shot down by the county board.
All right, we now move on to our third question. Thanks to Chris Higgins with the Daily Citizen for that last question. We now go back to Kevin Haugen with WXRO.
Once again, this question is for both candidates, and Dale, we'll start with you. What role should the county play in providing water rescue services to the municipalities?
First of all, there was no $42 million proposal for a training facility. We'll get that clear. That never happened. It was just an idea. Water rescue services, as the sheriff, we do provide services as per the statute. We need to provide services as quickly as possible. We do that by utilizing the fire departments around the county. If we had our own centralized team, it would take a lot longer for us to get out to those rescues to pull people from the water. For evidentiary recovery, we rely on law enforcement officers who are trained in evidentiary recovery in the water. Fire departments don't have that training, and it's not anything against them. They just aren't sent to those types of training. That's why we have law enforcement partners around our county and in other counties that can assist with that. We're not the only county in the state that does this. Our neighbor to the north, Green Lake, has a very similar arrangement. Waushara has a very similar arrangement with their fire departments. It works very well. This is brought to head because of funding for some of the pieces of equipment. That's not for me to discuss either, or to decide either. That's a county board decision. They made a decision to put money in towards that. And I simply told them that we are doing our statutory responsibility and we can respond appropriately.
We now go to Lieutenant Jim Ketchum.
It is the statutory responsibility of the sheriff to provide water rescue and recovery operations. The Dodge County Sheriff's Office used to have its own dive team back in the late 70s, early 80s, I believe, and it was work done in conjunction with the Beaver Dam Fire Department. Eventually, as there was a lack of interest from Sheriff's Office members, it was turned over to the Beaver Dam Fire Department. I believe it is our responsibility to provide those services. I do believe by having it in fire department hands that there is a quicker response instead of having this solely at the sheriff's department level. But by the statute authority being granted to the sheriff as a responsibility, I believe we should be helping fund these positions when the equipment needs to be replaced. As most of the equipment that Beaver Dam Fire Department had was part of the original dive team that was a joint effort between the sheriff's office and fire department.
30-second rebuttal offered to Sheriff Schmidt.
We need to be efficient and effective with what we have, and being efficient and effective includes utilizing those other resources that are available to us. If we have our own staff working on the dive team, it's not going to be efficient and effective because they need to respond to Juneau to pick up their items and respond out. Fire departments are ready to respond on a moment's notice all of the time. It's very efficient to utilize the system we have in place. If it wasn't that way, we wouldn't have been doing it for the last 15, 20 years or longer, however long it's been going on that way. I think it's a very good process the way we have it, and I'm happy to support what they need, but those funding needs need to come from the county board.
30 seconds to Lieutenant Ketchum.
The funding does need to come through the county board of supervisors, but it should also be a recommendation from the sheriff to help support this as we are not meeting our statutory obligation.
All right, we now go back to the media table. Chris Higgins with the Daily Citizen. And if it's a question for both candidates, we'll begin with Lieutenant Ketchum.
So this is for both candidates. What should the department's policy be on cooperating with ICE?
Again, we begin with Lieutenant Ketchum.
We are cooperating with Immigration and Customs Enforcement now. We do not have a contract with immigration. Our contract for housing federal inmates is with the U.S. Marshal Service. ICE piggybacks on that contract. Due to the atmosphere and the political sphere that is going on, we should be helping our partners in the federal government. Our problem is our taxpayers here in Dodge County are having to pay for that, as it is costing more to, it's costing more to house these inmates than what our contract is generating per day. We need to have an increase in our per bed, per day fee to offset these costs and not have our taxpayers here not only paying their federal taxes, but also having to pay additional county taxes for these federal inmates.
We now go to Sheriff Dale Schmidt.
We are currently in the process of negotiating that rate, and we have been for several months, and we do want to increase that rate. We want to be careful that we don't price ourselves out of that market either. It is a difficult environment. However, what he's saying about the costs exceeding the revenues is not the case. Our finance director spent a lot of time putting together numbers, and those numbers clearly show that we are saving the taxpayers money. At the end of the day, back to your original question, though, it's about a relationship with ICE. They are a federal law enforcement agency. We are a law enforcement agency, and we cooperate fully with all law enforcement agencies through anywhere. If the FBI comes in and asks for assistance, we assist them. If ICE comes in and asks for assistance, we assist them. We are not a sanctuary county or not a sanctuary city, and we will assist our law enforcement partners when they request it, which is exactly what we did in the incident that I'm sure you're referring to.
30-second rebuttal to Lieutenant Ketchum.
During the presentation for the closing of Pod J and to the not to expand new pods on the current jail, the head of the building committee, Dennis Schmidt, stated that we are making $6 million less in revenue on these jail contracts than what we did previously. I have heard different numbers that we are not making as much as it is costing to house these inmates per day.
My opponent has heard different numbers, but he wasn't at these presentations. He wasn't there to see the numbers, and he's only heard things. The facts were very clear from the finance director. The facts were very clear from everybody. They gave presentations, and just because one or two county supervisors disagree does not mean that the facts that our finance director, which I have a lot of faith in, were not accurate.
All right, we've got time for one more question from the media. If it's directed toward both candidates, we would begin this time with Sheriff Schmidt.
It is directed for both candidates. What role do you foresee, or what role should the sheriff's office continue to play with local media?
Those in the media know that I believe that we have to have a partnership with the media. We need to let the public know what's going on in the community. Otherwise, other people make those decisions for us and put out information that is not factual. I will continue that relationship that I have built with all the media sources, and we will continue to keep the public informed. Certainly, there are things where we need to be careful. And I think the media understands if you give when you can give, there are some things that we have to withhold as well. And I think the media understands it, and you guys are certainly respectful of that. We continue to push out information to the public on all kinds of different aspects of law enforcement, all different aspects of the sheriff's office. And we don't do that just through press releases. We do it through social media. We do it through other letters that go out. We do that through an education of the public with laws of the month. And so I think it's very important that we continue to engage our partners, because the things we get in return, such as tips on crimes and assistance from the public, is invaluable.
We now go to Lieutenant Jim Ketchum.
Part of my platform is having an open door, open mind policy. Is for our employees to be able to come to me with questions or concerns, allow them to have input in the operations of the sheriff's office. That does not only it's not restricted solely to our employees. That is for the public, and it is also for the media, that I would have an open door policy, open mind, and build relationships with the media. Our citizens would be welcome to come forward with any questions or concerns.
An opportunity for rebuttal should it be needed.
The great thing about what we've done already is we've already built those relationships, and I don't need to build them. We already have great relationships there with the media. Certainly, there's a lot of conversation about open door. I do have an open door, and those that use it understand that I'm very, very open to people coming in with new ideas. And certainly I want to encourage everybody in here to come in and sit down and talk to me about issues that you may have. But again, that relationship with the media, very, very solid right now.
And Lieutenant Ketchum?
Lieutenant Ketchum gets a full minute because he was cut short.
We had a snafu with the timing in the first segment, so if you'd like 60 seconds, please feel free to take it.
there might be a healthy relationship with the media right now, but there's not with other law enforcement agencies in the county. All you have to do is look at our endorsements and see that there's a problem with relationships and relationships within our own department that are not being addressed.
And with that, we will now go on to our second of 3 Q&A segments. This segment will allow the candidates in the forum to have a moderated debate, asking questions of themselves. Numbers were drawn previously from a container, the lowest number determining who gets to go first, and we determined that Lieutenant Jim Ketchum would be the first to be able to ask a question of the incumbent, Dale Schmidt. And we will continue and proceed in this fashion until we basically have run out of questions from both candidates. And then we would move on to our third and final segment, or we would end at 7:40, whichever comes first. So we now begin with Lieutenant Jim Ketchum asking a question of Sheriff Dale Schmidt.
At the last debate, you said, quote, "I need people to come and talk to me," end quote. Why do you think people won't come to talk to you, and what does it say about your leadership?
I believe there are people who do come and talk to me, and there are a number of people in this room that know that and do come to talk to me. Unfortunately, I feel that many of the things that we have tried to do to allow for those communications to take place have been undermined and haven't been the information that we're putting out and the requests for information are stopping at a certain level in the chain of command. And when you have one rung in that chain of command that's broken, the entire chain is broken. And so what I need is for you to go back to the staff and bring concerns forward and bring input that we have asked you to do so that we can have a good conversation, so we open up that dialogue. Certainly there have been issues, and sometimes it's difficult to make hard decisions, and we've made tough decisions, and they don't always please all of the employees. But I have had a number of people come to me since that last debate. And certainly they're not all the employees, but a number of them have come to me and said, we are making some good positive change and moving in the right direction, and I like the communication we have.
And this does allow for a 30-second rebuttal.
So at one particular employee where the rung in the ladder is broken, or is it all shifts? Are we only having one shift that is not coming to you? Is that what you're saying?
Unfortunately, we cannot ask questions, though you would have that opportunity to readdress that during the next round. We now go, are you done, sir?
Yes.
We now go to Sheriff Dale Schmidt asking a question of Lieutenant Jim Ketchum.
We have instituted a leadership training program called Leadership in Police Organizations that is endorsed by the International Association of Chiefs of Police, the Wisconsin Training and Standards Bureau. It is the foundation of leadership structure what we are trying to bring to our organization and addresses many of the issues you allege as problems in the office. Why have you chosen not to attend or even show interest in attending that training that's nationally recognized by our leaders around the country?
It is one training. There are many different leadership trainings. I have attended several different leadership trainings. I have attended the Command College at Fox Valley Tech, the FBI Regional Command College. I have attended Northwestern Traffic Institute's Leadership School. I don't believe one particular school is our answer. I have attended FBI LEDA. There are several different supervisory schools, management schools for us to attend. I don't believe you put all your eggs in one basket. When we hosted that training, which is costing our taxpayers an exorbitant amount of money for people to attend, when we hosted that, we paid $4,000 for 10 people to attend. We were paying $3,200 before per diem for people to attend that training in Racine. We're at $4,800 for people to attend that training this week and in following weeks, right now in La Crosse. We're spending thousands and thousands of dollars, and it's only one type of training.
The training is been standardized in our organization, and we are spending money, but we have also saved some money in other areas. We've received discounts from the state on other trainings that we've sent people to because we're cooperating with the state on these trainings. It's like if you were playing for the Packers and you were Coach McCarthy, would you want everybody on one playbook, or would you want everybody on a different playbook when you're going out to win a championship at the end of the year? I want them all on the same playbook. We've instituted one leadership structure in our organization. That's what we're looking to do at the Dodge County Sheriff's Office.
Lieutenant Ketchum now has an opportunity to ask a second question of incumbent Sheriff Dale Schmidt.
Could you please give 3 examples of how your $9,000 tech slate has improved our ability to solve crimes?
First of all, regarding the tech slate, let's make sure everybody understands it's not a tablet. It's a large computer. It has a great deal of functionality. We've used it in a number of incidents, including some of our search warrants. It's been very helpful in disseminating information quickly. Our detectives use it on cases on a regular basis to share information in their meetings. And some of the detectives don't use it as often as others do, but some do use it frequently. We're not the only agency with a tech slate. In fact, our own Beaver Dam Fire Department has one in their training room. And certainly, I know where we're going to go with this is that we've got a whiteboard that we can use, or a smart board that we can use. First of all, it doesn't even belong to us. It belongs to emergency management. I've attempted to use it. It isn't user-friendly. And I've never, frankly, seen anybody use that outside of anybody in the emergency management world. But it is the tool that we have is just that, a tool. We can talk all day about a couple $1,000 purchases here and there, but at the end of the day, we saved $1.8 million over the last 3 years.
Rebuttal to Lieutenant Ketchum.
You didn't provide any specific data that you used to determine to make that purchase. Most of the detectives I have spoken to, they are using it for watching training videos. It's not being utilized to clear crimes, solve crimes, as you had said on your Facebook post. Matter of fact, our crime clearance rates have been dropping. How is this not being used to help solve that problem?
We now have an opportunity for the incumbent Sheriff Dale Schmidt to ask a second question of his challenger, Lieutenant Jim Ketchum.
You continue to try to tear down our traffic crash reduction initiatives. We put a great deal of data-driven research into that, data-driven, in a report here put together by the then captain. What I'm asking you is why haven't you, as instructed, gone to your staff to bring forward ideas to put as part of that traffic crash reduction? And what research have you done? What would you do differently than what we're doing? Because obviously we have fatalities to continue. We need to continue our efforts to make some kind of a change.
I have not torn down the traffic crash reduction initiative. As one of the supervisors on first shift, along with the other 2 sergeants, we have coached and mentored and worked with our day shift personnel who have doubled their traffic enforcement efforts from the start of this year through the end of July versus the same time frame for last year. That was part of the initiative. So we would not be doubling our efforts on first shift alone if we didn't make an honest effort to try and make this work. The thing is, our crashes are up. From January 1st of July through July 31st of 2017, we had 648 crashes in Dodge County. That same time frame in 2018, we have 727. The program's not working. Part of having a participative leadership is to have all of our people come together and come up with a strategy together. Where did the data come from this? What source did this come from?
30-second rebuttal to Sheriff Schmidt.
I don't have time in 30 seconds to go through the source, but it's here. But what I will say is that we have asked you for your input into it, and to date, the captain has yet to receive anything outside of, yes, you worked with your staff to have them do additional traffic stops, but over the last couple months, since the election started, traffic numbers have plummeted over the last 2 months. And I find it ironic that it's in the same time period as when this election is going on. And the captain is still, even though he has requested something from you specifically on what you and your staff would like to accomplish, he's gotten nothing except from the other 2 lieutenants.
And we now go to a third round of questions. We would begin with Lieutenant Jim Ketchum asking the incumbent Sheriff Dale Schmidt a question.
More correctional officers have left the jail in the last 3.5 years more correctional officers have left the jail in the last 3.5 years that you have been sheriff than in the 8 previous years. Why are so many officers leaving, and what are you doing to recruit and retain quality staff?
We've done a lot to recruit and retain. Certainly, there are people who are leaving, and I think that's a problem. It's an organizational problem across law enforcement and corrections all over the place. We've got some wardens that are in the room that certainly have seen that. It is very difficult to maintain people in any correctional facility. We've done a lot to, we've eliminated the civil service process, speeding up hiring. We have increased wages for correctional officers on my recommendation 3 different times. And in addition, we raised up their pay grade a full step just a couple of years ago. We've been working tirelessly to continue to interview people and get people in. I understand that overtime has been tough, and we are working on ways to try and alleviate that. It's a difficult process, and we need to work together towards that. But right now we're down, I believe, 7. And we're going to continue to be down even after JPOT closes because we are still going to be short. It's going to continue to be a problem, but we're going to work on trying to expedite that. Training is long. It's almost 6 months to get somebody fully hired and trained.
30-second rebuttal to Lieutenant Ketchum.
18 resignations in the last 3.5 years, none for retirement, 14 in the previous 8 years. Saying the problem is statewide, it's not, it's just an excuse. There's no solution. I didn't hear anything about we're going to be recruiting. My understanding is one of our sergeants in the jail put together a proposal for recruiting, going to tech schools and universities again. And that was presented to at least the administration within the jail, and it did not go anywhere.
We now have an opportunity for Sheriff Schmidt to ask his third question of Lieutenant Jim Ketchum.
When I took office, I asked for administrative staff to evaluate the lack of communication between the different divisions in the office and asked for ideas and suggestions on how to improve that communication. I subsequently brought in someone from the outside who brought positive forward-thinking initiatives to improve that communication throughout the office. What ideas have you brought forward to improve communication in the office over the last several years?
More face-to-face conversations so that when you actually converse with somebody, you're delivering the message and you can see that the message is received, not simply putting out videos where you're preaching to people. That's not communication. It's just sending out emails or phony communication through media. Having face-to-face conversations with our employees, which I have on a daily basis, make sure that my message is delivered and received.
30-second rebuttal.
I have admin meetings every single month of the year, and Lieutenant Ketchum is at most of those. And very little input comes from him regarding the initiatives that we're putting forward, the things that I'm asking for. I simply ask for suggestions, and there's usually we get to one person and there's no comment. I think that speaks volumes when we're trying to communicate and we don't get communication from that one person, a person who has that opportunity to bring the concerns of the people to our admin meetings. I think that speaks volumes.
All right, round 4 of questions. Do we still have questions, gentlemen? All right, we will continue then with the candidates asking questions amongst themselves. Again, beginning with Lieutenant Jim Ketchum asking his 4th question of incumbent Sheriff Dale Schmidt.
At the last debate, you said, I have a passion for the community and the safety of our citizens and for the work the sheriff needs to do for the citizens of the county. If that's true, then why are your clearance rates for crime so low?
I'm glad you asked that question. In fact, I looked at the clearance rates, and you probably ran the numbers in February because right now our clearance rates for robberies are at 25%, not 14%, as was told us last week. And our crimes against property are in the 30 percentile, which is well above the average over the last several years. Now, 25% isn't awesome, but when you're talking about a lot of these burglaries, might be a gas can that was stolen, and we might not be able to get to some of those. 25 is really a pretty good average. When we go back and we look at 2010 under Sheriff Niels, we had 7% as a clearance rate for that particular year. These go up and down. We've got 29%, 25%, 22%, but our crimes against property over the last several years have been 30%. Our theft clearance rates have increased over the last several years from where they had been under previous administrations. I think our clearance rates are right in line with where they are, and that not should be, but with what we have seen in the past. And certainly we have difficulties with staffing. We need to continue to address those.
30-second rebuttal.
clearance rates for 2015 through 2017 versus 2013 through 14 under Pat Ninman's term as sheriff. Rape is down 19%. Aggravated assaults is down 18%. Burglaries under your administration, we have a clearance rate of 14%. Larceny, we have a clearance rate of 21%.
We now have an opportunity for the incumbent Sheriff Dale Schmidt to ask a question of Lieutenant Jim Ketchum, excuse me, I'm sorry.
When we knew that there was going to be a captain promotion coming in the near future, I advised everybody that I wanted people to prepare themselves for that promotion, advising them of what I was looking for, certain types of leadership training. Over the last 4 years, what kind of leadership training have you attended to better yourself to move into that kind of a leadership role?
I attended the National Tactical Officer Association's SWAT Commander School in Minnesota, which helped my all-around abilities as a leader within the department, not only as a SWAT team commander, but the information that I received in that training to help myself in patrol aspects also.
30-second rebuttal.
I sent him to that training because I knew I needed a SWAT team commander. However, the other initiatives we put forward, he has not responded to. I put myself through a 3-week training in late 2016 and identified that is the training course that we need to have in our agency, and we need to be on that same playbook. I think it's very important we be on the same playbook, which is why I went and why we're implementing it throughout our entire agency. When you stop learning, that's when it's time to leave. I want to continue learning well into the future.
And we are going to continue with the race, the candidates forum for the race for Dodge County Sheriff here after a 2-minute break. Back in just a few minutes.
Thanks for adding levity in there. I'm sure that was intentional.
And the consequences can be deadly. What's in your medicine cabinet? Learn how to keep your kids safe. Call Narconon and find out how to prevent prescription drug abuse in your family. Call Narconon 877-413-3073. That's 877-413-3073. Or drugsknow.com.
I'm more resourceful than I thought.
My suit can still make an impression. My video games are still game changers.
And my lamp can bring others a bright future.
Because when I donate my stuff to Goodwill, it helps fund job placement and training for people right in my community.
Now my stuff gets a second chance.
And will give someone in my community a second chance too. Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. That's goodwill.org. This message brought to you by Goodwill and the Ad Council.
In 50 feet, turn left. Why are you driving so slowly?
After a few drinks, I'm taking it slow.
Well, you're not fooling the cop behind you.
What?
Get ready to pay in 0.1 miles.
Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
WXRO weather. Here's a look at your Weather Eye forecast powered by weatherology.com. A couple of isolated showers and thunderstorms developing late tonight, otherwise partly cloudy with a low temperature of 65. Thursday, sunny with a few afternoon thunderstorms with a high temperature near 80 and winds out of the west at 5 to 10. Friday looks mainly sunny with a high temperature of 79. Saturday, we'll see a slight chance of showers and storms with a high around 80 degrees. Sunday, sunshine with a high of 79. Monday looks sunny with a high near 80. Tuesday, we'll see a slight chance of showers and thunderstorms with a high temperature around 82 degrees. That's a look at your latest forecast. I'm meteorologist Ray Miller on your home for today's best country, 95.3. Right now, it's 75.
And we're back here at the Candidates Forum, Beaver Dam Veterans Center, Dodge County Sheriff's Race Lieutenant Jim Ketchum challenging the incumbent Sheriff Dale Schmidt, a packed house here at the Veterans Center. And this is the third Q&A portion of 3. And this is an opportunity for the audience to ask questions. And it's the first hand I see that goes in the air is the first place I'll go. It's this woman over here, followed by that woman over there. And then we're going to start again. Just a real quick, the rules. Moderator will field verbal-only questions from the candidates beginning now. Each candidate would then have a question directed to him or her, would be allowed 1 minute to respond. If a question is posed only to one candidate in a race, his or her opponent will be offered the opportunity to have 30 seconds to comment or rebut.
She's got a question right after me.
Which one? I'm sorry.
All right, my question is for Lieutenant Ketchum. In your community comment, you had said that you wanted to spearhead a program that would run like Eau Claire County and run in conjunction with the current TAD program. Right now, we're a drug treatment court and an impaired driving court. So I guess my question to you is, what is your knowledge of the people on that committee, or do you have any knowledge of the current programming that we have?
I have spoke with Brian Fitzinger, circuit court judge, who helped get the alcohol court running. And I have spoken with District Attorney Klomberg, who I have also spoken with Becky Bell after the last debate quickly. The evidence-based decision-making model is something that takes the sheriff, police chiefs, human services, county board members, county executive, a diverse group of people working together to identify the biggest problem that Dodge County faces. I believe that is our drug and alcohol problem, which then leads to crime. You work together as a group, come up with goals to try and not only reduce crime, which reduces the caseload in the courts, you try to reduce recidivism also. But you do it as a collaborative effort with many stakeholders, including citizens and businesses in the county. So it's a large effort.
30 seconds to Sheriff Schmidt.
We have just that. It's called the Criminal Justice Collaborating Committee, and all of the people that are working on it already. It's already in place. It's very similar to what we have going on in Eau Claire already. The DA, there's 2 judges, Shasha and DeFries, not Fitzinger. The public defender, Health and Human Services Director, 2 members of the treatment or medical community are part of that, probation and parole, treatment court supervisor, and there are others all part of that. And we are doing evidence-based decision-making as part of that process with that legal assistant in the DA's office.
Next question.
This question is for Sheriff Schmidt. And no, I'm not going to ask you about crash tonight, Sheriff. I'm going to ask you about your temperament as the top law enforcement executive in Dodge County. I want to know why you decided to take a post I posted on Facebook, twist it around to suit your needs, and then get it to attack your opponent and to attack me. You took my words out of context. You didn't see what I had actually commented, how polite I was to the people you were saying I was attacking. You took something I said about my beliefs and my views and twisted it around to be about this campaign. And I want to know what that says about your leadership, and I believe it explains why all the 130 law enforcement officers are supporting your opponent.
Actually, I didn't twist any words. I took the post and removed your name because I didn't want to leave your name on there, and I posted the post exactly as it was on there. I don't believe that it's right to be going after or putting out there that you're not going to support a business because of your political beliefs. And I think that's wrong, and I will always support businesses, and I don't think that either side should be doing that and putting down people because they are supporting a particular candidate. Everybody is entitled to their own opinion, entitled to believe what they want, vote for who they want, put a sign up for who they want. But to come out and say, I'm not going to spend money at a business because they're supporting another political candidate, I don't think that's right. And I think the people that went to that establishment afterwards agreed and made a very resounding statement to that establishment. And these people have the right to support who they want to. Let's not pick on them because we're running against each other. That doesn't make sense.
30 seconds to Jim Ketchum.
I believe the entire post was that this individual was going to choose not to spend their money there. At no time did they say that other people should not do the same, that they should boycott the place, which your post indicated was what this individual stated. That's where I believe she is asking about this being misleading.
First hand up, we'll over here. And then over in the back, gentleman with the orange shirt. And then we'll do 2 and 2.
Thank you, gentlemen, for being here. I'm a big picture thinker. I own a marketing and advertising business. This question is for both of you. My dad is a 90-year-old veteran, served in World War II. He said to me one day, he said, look him in the eye, tell the truth, give more and expect less. And I'll start with you, sir. What are you going to give more of for us in the county?
I will work with our staff and with other law enforcement agencies to reduce the crimes that are occurring in this county. We will use the evidence-based decision-making model to help with that, but we will be more proactive within the communities. We will come together to form a new traffic crash reduction strategy, one that hopefully will have a better effect than the one that we are currently trying. We are looking at a possible reduce in revenue with the jail closing. We won't know exactly what that is until our budget is complete. But what we will do at the sheriff's office is that we will do more with less, if necessary.
A full minute to Sheriff Schmidt.
Unfortunately, elections create division. It's just part of what elections are. We're going to work together. We are going to reach across to those other people. We are going to mend those fences. And we are going to work together as a team throughout the county. I do have great working relationships with a number of law enforcement agencies across the county. Certainly there is a fracture there with one, but we're going to repair that. We just have to have communication. We're going to get through that. We're going to resolve those issues. In fact, I have one chief who called me today and said, I'm going to go out and put out 15 signs for you tomorrow. Which is fantastic. And there are law enforcement officers that are behind me. We are going to continue to work and give back to the community. I'm passionate about that. I want to be out there in the community. I want our deputies to be out there in the community working to make Dodge County a great place, a safe place for everybody to live, work, and visit. We have had a proactive strategy. Unfortunately, we do have some staffing concerns we need to address, but we still need to be proactive and get out there and make Dodge County safe and keep it a safe place for everybody.
And if this question is directed to both candidates, we would begin with Sheriff Schmidt.
I'm actually going to defer to the young lady.
And he is going to give his question to the young lady who wanted to ask a question before, but we were only offering one question per hand raised over here. So here we go.
My name is Erica Dominic, and I am an 8th grader at the Beaver Dam Middle School. This question is for both of you. What is your plan for school safety?
School safety is very important to me, and we've talked about it quite a bit. Certainly, thankfully, just recently, our Judicial and Public Protection Committee authorized us to move forward and request from the county board a school resource officer for those schools that don't have one. I think that's important for all schools, including private schools, to get that kind of coverage. I've been working with other groups already, having conversations about how we can get into some of those private schools as well, how we can work with our school safety committee, our emergency management director, school administrators. We've already started having those conversations, and they've done a great job. They've worked very hard at accomplishing our goals. And I continue to work with one of our detectives. He's here. And we have great conversations about what more can we do? And how can we keep these schools safe? How can we harden the schools so people can't get into them? At the same time, how do we teach teachers and teach students what to do if there is an emergency? And we need to continue to prepare our deputies, our officers, to work together as a team should there be an emergency situation. There's a lot of work for us to do, and I'm up for that job.
1 minute to Jim Ketchum.
I will continue to train our personnel within the sheriff's office and provide that training to other agencies within the county as we have done in the past for patrol response to active shooters. We have also implemented within the last year a rescue task force philosophy within the sheriff's office and offered that training to all of our agencies within the county for fire personnel and for EMTs. Interesting enough, I did an open records request for the school resource officer meetings that Amy Nails, our emergency management director, coordinates. Sheriff Schmidt has not attended one since January of 2017. So I'm not sure why he's talking about how avid he is on school safety if he does not bother to attend those meetings, and also was taken off of the distribution list for those. And I got a copy of an email in which he stated he did not need to be invited to those meetings anymore, as he would have Detective Reisman attend on his behalf.
First hand up We saw it up over here, and then the second one will go to this young woman back here. Excellent question from that young lady, too. Thank you so much for that question. Where's that hand again? Where was that hand I pointed? Was it here? Oh, this young lady. Here we go.
Lieutenant Ketchum, could you please give us your views on promoting through merit or longevity?
We should be promoting based on merit. That is what we have always done at the sheriff's office, and that is what I will bring back to the sheriff's office when elected sheriff.
30 seconds to Sheriff Schmidt.
Merit-based is exactly what we base it off of, and we have changed that from the past. In fact, one of my employees told me this is the most fair process that we've ever used in tabulating how we do promotions, because we're looking at the merits rather than somebody being here. I don't appreciate when after we go back to somebody and we tell them that sorry, you're not getting it this time. There's comments made that well, I should have it because I've been here 20 some years. That's not how we do things. We do things because you've earned it, not because you necessarily have sat in that chair for 20 years.
And if this question is for both of them, we would be again with Lieutenant Ketchum.
It's for Schmidt.
Okay.
Okay, this one's for Schmidt. Provide your definition of integrity. And if elected, how will you restore not only integrity, but also pride back into the deputies, correctional staff, and other police agencies within the Dodge County?
Integrity is a very broad word. It goes to honesty. It goes to making sure that you're being forthright with people, making sure that you're ethical, making ethical decisions. I don't think we need to restore that integrity back at the sheriff's office. Unfortunately, there has been some things said from the other side to make it seem like there isn't integrity, but integrity is part of what we do at the sheriff's office. I do not appreciate people who tell lies or who do not have integrity. That's part of who we are. And I think sometimes it's a perspective thing. And so some people feel like perhaps it's integrity is lost. But again, it's perspective based on really what you're looking at. And depending on the issue, but at the end of the day, I don't feel that we have any integrity issues. We just need to work better together. We need to communicate better. I'll admit we have some communication issues we need to work on, but integrity I don't believe is one of the issues.
30 seconds to Jim Ketchum.
Integrity is one of the most important qualities a law enforcement officer can have, along with honesty. We are held to a different standard than normal citizens. We are required to respond to scenes, take evidence, take statements, and then provide that information to the court system so that jurors can make a decision on guilt or innocence of our individuals in this county. There's nothing more important for a law enforcement officer than to have integrity and honesty.
First hand up. Over here, and followed by the woman in the red shirt in the front row.
Sheriff Schmidt, can you explain who was involved in the process of making the decision to move away from New World and selecting Spillman as a records management system, and who you included in building the system?
Well, our very competent IT department, our IT committee, were heavily involved. And in fact, one statement that was made to me that really stood out. We had one employee of the IT department 2 to 3 years into the project that was still working 20 to 30 hours a week, just trying to keep New World running. It was not a stable system, continued to crash. We worked with a number of people, including the law enforcement committee. Sheriff's office employees were heavily involved with it. And in fact, I even sent out emails requesting assistance from other agencies to come in and starting to have those conversations. We tried to resolve issues. We worked very hard to resolve the issues, but it just wasn't something that was fixable. We went to RFP hoping that would prompt them to move forward and fix the issues. And it still wasn't able to be fixed. At the end of the day, we went to the IT committee. We got a unanimous decision there, went to the county board, got a 31-0 decision there, and we made a decision to move in another direction. I do wish we would have had a couple more agencies come on to assist us with that, but now looking back at it, I had the Attorney General in the state of California call me just this week because they're having the same issues with this program.
30 seconds to Lieutenant Ketchum.
Spillman is here to stay. We cannot afford to spend another $1 million on a different system again, as we did when we switched from New World to Spillman. What we need to do is work with other agencies and work with our IT department to improve the system. We need to make it more efficient. We need to stop having it be so data-driven on our officers on the street. That is where the complaints are coming from, the majority of them from officers. They are spending too much time entering data while they're on calls for service. On a simple traffic stop.
And this will be our final question from the audience for this evening. I believe there's a hand up over here. This was the last.
I guess it can be addressed to both of you guys. I am a proud woman that has belonged to a union for 30 plus years. I have never once been asked to vote for someone or bullied or anything of the sort. We sometimes as a union endorse a candidate, but I have never been told to do anything specific. I have never been threatened to do something or something would happen to me. My question is, I am a very great person and people that know me in the community know how much I give. Belonging to a union, I think is showing that you care about your colleagues and you want to work together for the better of all. I was recently told that one of my candidates running for has referred to union members as thugs. That person immediately lost my vote. Immediately. I am not a thug. I am a hardworking citizen that works every day with special needs children. So just because you belong to a union doesn't mean you are a thug. So I ask you, how do you feel about people that belong to unions?
And we begin with Lieutenant Ketchum here on this one.
I grew up in a union household. I have the utmost respect for the unions and union workers. I was a member of the union for 15 years with the sheriff's office, 16 years. I don't personally have not seen bullying or harassment going on from our union members at the sheriff's office. Of course, people are going to have differences of opinions in an election cycle, but the accusations of the bullying that has supposedly been going on by union members is just a flat out lie.
And 60 seconds to Dale Schmidt.
No one in this campaign, or at least I never said anything about union thugs. And I would challenge anybody to bring it to me to show me that I said union thug, because it never happened until I just said those words just now. That is not the case. I certainly I'm a Republican. I know that there are differences between Republicans and Democrats in unions. I was a part of the union, not by choice. I was made to be part of that union because that's how our system works with our law enforcement unions. And I don't take it personally against any one person, but there are plenty of people on my side who have felt like they have not been able to have their voice heard, and people can sit there and shake their heads no at it. But when people come to me and they express those concerns to me, they're factual statements. And I'm sorry if you don't like it, but those are factual things that are happening. And everybody has the right to have their own voice, and other people shouldn't have the right to come and infringe on that opinion. Everybody has their First Amendment right, and we should all be allowed to have that.
And that concludes the third and final question and answer segment here as part of the Dodge County Sheriff's Race Candidates Forum. We now move to the final segment, which is the closing statements from each candidate. And according to the numbers drawn at the beginning, Sheriff Schmidt will go first.
Thank you again for being here and for being informed. When you go to the polls next Tuesday, remember to vote for my passionate commitment to serving the people of Dodge County. I have 18 years of law enforcement experience, and it has taught me to be dedicated not only to the employees, but also to the citizens. We have already begun and have a great deal more work to do with regard to cracking down on sex trafficking, drug and alcohol addiction, seeking out the root causes of community problems in an effort to find long-lasting solutions. Dodge County needs a sheriff who is willing to make tough choices. Although some choices may be difficult, they are the right choices to make for the good of the entire community. I am endorsed by Attorney Brad Schimmel, the Republican Party of Dodge County, 50 current Wisconsin sheriffs, law enforcement executives, officers, and support staff, along with many citizens and military veterans. I ask for your vote on August 14th so we can continue working together to protect and serve the people of Dodge County. Thank you, and once again, thank you to the veterans for allowing us to use this space tonight.
Now, Lieutenant Jim Ketchum.
Your choice, ladies and gentlemen, is about leadership. On August 14th, you will choose who has the temperament, knowledge, skills, ideas to create a safer and more vibrant Dodge County. If you take a look at the crime reporting numbers, our clearance rates for aggravated assaults, burglaries, and larceny are down over the last 3 years. Not to mention our fatal crashes on par with the ghastly numbers from last year. I ask you, how is this making Dodge County safer? I will do better. My opponent has spent thousands of your dollars on wasteful expenditures, items such as new badges, 65-inch touchscreens TV. It's not making us safer. I will do better. My opponent's interagency communication and internal managerial issues are so poor, 130 of our local law enforcement officers are vocally supporting me for sheriff. Instead of healing these rifts, he is attacking my record. I will do better. My record of service to the Dodge County Sheriff's Office cannot be tarnished with ugly words from my opponent. I'm proud of the work I've done for you. I ask for your support on August 14th so we can honestly make Dodge County a better place to live, work, and visit.
And that concludes. And that concludes this evening's debate here from the Beaver Dam Veterans Center between the candidates for Dodge County Sheriff incumbent candidate Sheriff Dale Schmidt and Lieutenant Jim Ketchum. We do want to thank everybody for coming out tonight to the Beaver Dam Veterans Center. It was a packed house here this evening, and we do want to thank our listeners as well on 95.3 WXRO and those joining us at dailydodge.com, where you can find the audio and video from this evening's candidates forum. Live from the Beaver Dam Veterans Center, I'm Craig Warmbold. Back to you, Jim.